So why does Musk versus Zuck actually matter? Well, my wife is an English professor, and last night we were talking about the whole Tesla as a narrative idea. And she said, well, who is the villain? You need to have an antagonist. Well, who would be better suited to that role than the guy who is ruining your kids' lives with Facebook and Instagram? The guy who invented a new drug that distracts us all from doing more important things. So, is that the setup? This is Randy Kirk. If you like this kind of content, especially early in the morning, just after the market opens, then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then you want to hit notification if you would like to be aware of the fact that on Sunday I'm having Brian White back, and we're going to be talking again about what is a sedan and why might it really matter. It's not big numbers, but important numbers in a year when it's all about the 2 million level. And then, of course, love to have more folks on Patreon. We put up numbers on Patreon that I don't put up anywhere else, and you might be interested in seeing videos early. Those are a couple of reasons to join. In addition to the fact that right now it is a free trial for 7 days, so give it a try. Okay, Elon Musk has I've talked about this before. Musk has a natural ability to get headlines. If you've read the Elon Musk mission, you know that the whole reason that he wanted to go to Mars initially, the reason that he went over to Russia and bought that rocket, or tried to buy a rocket, the whole reason he wanted to get this rocket up to Mars was he was going to have this little plant that was robotic, going to be in a dome, and then that was robotically going to be put up on Mars, and then a video would take a picture of that plant sitting on Mars and hopefully thriving at least for a while. It was 100% going to be a publicity stunt to get headlines so that the United States would get back into space. That was the whole reason. That was why he was spending the money, going to spend millions and millions of dollars out of his own pocket just to get that publicity stunt done. No intention to become a rocket company. It wasn't until the flight home from his failure to get that rocket from the Russians where he started to design and develop the potential for him to build rockets, and everything is the rest of the story, of course, is history. Well, imagine Musk versus Zuck in the Roman Coliseum. So it turns out that the folks at the Roman Coliseum gave them a call and said, hey, why don't you come over here and do the fight in the Roman Coliseum? Oh my gosh, now you can add tremendous amounts of drama and, of course, more and more positive headlines. And it puts Musk as being the protagonist against Zuckerberg as the antagonist. And so it shows Musk in a great light. So anyway, can't hurt. It can only help to bring more attention to the companies and to the stocks. Well, okay. Meanwhile, the bigger news, maybe not the bigger news, but certainly big news is that everybody's new number. Did we know about the PCE 2 years ago? Did anybody care about it a year ago? No, but now we know that the Fed cares more about the PCE than it does about the CPI. And so everybody's focus this week has been on the PCE, and it came in exactly as expected, and everybody breathes a big sigh of relief. But now, nobody else is going to tell you this. You're not going to find this headline anywhere. What if the Fed overshoots? I think you need to you need to put this up on Twitter. You need to, put it up on all your social media. You need to tell your friends. Somehow we need to get the word to the Fed. They could overshoot. Keep in mind that it was only about 2 years ago that the Fed was worried about ever getting inflation back to 2%. This was for a year or two. That's all they talked about. We need to get inflation back to 2%. And there was all kinds of articles written about how the aging of America was keeping us from getting inflation back to 2%. All kinds of other reasons why we might never get inflation, but they wanted to get inflation back to 2%. Well, guess what? Now they've got inflation, according to the new PCE reading, they've got it last month, 0.1%. If you extrapolate that just on a run rate basis, you're already at 1.2% for the year. I'm sorry, it was 0.1, so it'll be 1.2% for the year. You're already under 2%. Not only that, the trajectory is shooting lower. So my methods of extrapolation commonly would say if I connect those dots, I'm now shooting for deflation. Okay, the core was still up at 0.3, which would give you a run rate of 3.6, which is certainly way better than it was a year ago and way better than it was last month. But again, the indication is lower than that. So could you help me send the signal to the Fed? You may now be in the process of overshooting. If you continue to raise the rates and continue to withdraw cash from the system in the M2, you continue to lower the amount of money circulating, you are in danger of going back into the situation that you were in before. And you've been overshooting and overshooting for the last 3 or 4 years. It's all anybody talks about is how the Fed is been getting it wrong and going too far or not going far enough. In other words, dramatically overshooting in both directions. Anyway, that's you're not going to read that anywhere else but here. All right, truck tonnage. You know how important I think truck tonnage is. Well, guess what? Truck tonnage was up in May after being down in March and April. So maybe we've already had the recession. It was a 2-month recession in March and April. Right now, they're saying that retail is still the biggest drag, but the rest of trucking is showing positive. It's continues to be down year over year. Trucking tonnage is down year over year, which is still a recessionary indicator, an advance indicator, but now we're seeing a beginning of it going in the other direction. Analysts seem to be thinking that we're probably going to be hitting 446,000 deliveries for Tesla. That is the number that's kind of out there. You've got people that are a little lower, a little higher. I'm still at 460. But Troy Teslike this morning was saying that June was a very hot month for Tesla. He put out a number that would have, on a daily basis in June, that would have suggested we go way over 2 million for the year. And Troy Teslike, of course, is one of the ones who's got one of the lower numbers around 4. I think the last time I saw it was less than, no, it was 442, I think, for the quarter. So anyway, I'm still saying 460. We'll see what happens on Sunday, but that, of course, is the big number everybody's going to be watching now. Bonds, last time I looked this morning, we're down a little bit this morning, but still in the middle of the range, around 3.7, 3.75, but way down from the 4.1 of last March, the 4.25 in late October. So I think that you'll see that the bonds might start to relax after this print this morning. I don't know, hard to say. The inversion is still way out there with a full point on the 2-year and 1.4 on the 2-month. Market participation. This is an article last night. Let's see if I can say it now. Market participants expect one more rate hike from the Fed, even if inflation drops more than expected. This is Hugh Roberts, the head of analytics at research group Quant Insight. Indeed, in the run-up to the data release and in the wake of Powell's latest remark, traders have firmed up their expectations of a rate increase for July. The odds of a quarter-point hike on July 26 now sit at 87%, up from the below 75% just a week ago. So this is according to the CME's FedWatch tool. But traders are increasingly expecting a bigger rate hike in September. So we skip August, and the next one after that is September, with the chances of a half-point increase rising to 30%. That's from less than 15% a week ago. So those odds could even, of course, those odds it would increase based on a bad print this morning, but we got a good print this morning. So I am going to go out on a limb here. I think the Fed will begin to see what I just said. I think they're going to begin to see the potential for an overshoot, and that pausing, a continuous pause right now, would be by far the wisest move. We'll see what happens. All right. So the kickoff this morning on the stock exchange saw the NASDAQ way up, the Dow way up, Apple passing 3 trillion, which in market cap, that might be creating some additional exuberance, some additional enthusiasm in the market. I've seen a couple of notes now about a possible rotation out of tech and into the Dow, into the more conservative stocks. I think we need some rotation, but I don't think for a minute the other day, I was almost ready to do a video on the idea that we might be ready for a big rotation, but no, I don't think we are going to see that rotation. What we might see is a little more interest in the Dow, while the NASDAQ continues to be extremely strong. Why do I say that? Because this AI thing is huge. It ain't going away. And I don't see any way that the Magnificent Seven people are going to be taking their money out of the Magnificent Seven and pouring them into, chemical stocks or food stocks or whatever else. Yes, they'll start buying those stocks. We'll broaden out the market, but we're not going to see any kind of a rotation, at least not yet. Oil is up a bit this morning, still way at the bottom of its trading range. I'm thinking that oil being up a little could be because people are starting to think the economy is good. Bonds, as I mentioned, down a little bit this morning. So let me get my trusty computer here, my trusty phone, and look. Tesla continues to be up $4 right now. That it's been around $3 to $4 up this morning. It's slightly ahead of the NASDAQ in terms of percentage, but actually right now it's underperforming compared to its normal delta versus the NASDAQ. The Cathie Wood stocks are all in the green. And then let's just take a real quick look at the bond market just for fun to see if there's been any change in that. The bonds are still looking about the same as yesterday, as is oil. Well, okay, that's all I've got for you this morning. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and join Patreon, buy the books. That's all I got. That's it. See you later. It has been great talking.